Welcome to the party. I'm Sam Ekstrom of Locked On Sports Minnesota. Today I will be throwing our bosses, executives, coaches, per se, under the bus, and then later retracting all of my statements.
Hey, this is Arif Hasan with the Wide Left Substack. The NFC North had a very interesting day yesterday.
I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings, and I'm excited to join Sam in a revolution, just like cuz.
Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. I'm just here so I won't get fined and to gamble a little bit.
Oh, we'll do plenty of that. We'll also talk Cam Akers, Dalton Risner, and much more on today's Minnesota Football Party.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcast. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota Football Party.
Welcome in on a Thursday. It's the Minnesota Football Party on Locked On Sports Minnesota. You just met the crew, Luke Inman, Luke Braun, Arif Hasan, and I'm Sam Ekstrom talking Vikings for the next hour. We'll be joined by Ron Johnson for the latter half of the show. Can't wait to talk to Ron, get his take on all the comings and goings around TCO Performance Center this week. Dalton Risner in the building, Cam Akers in the building. We're going to talk about all the Minnesota Vikings issues and how they can solve them against the Chargers this week. This show is brought to you by Jase Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jase Case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50-plus infections. Get yours today at jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. Please subscribe to Locked On Sports Minnesota before we get started on the show. One click, that's all it takes. Help us get to 6,000 subscribers. We would appreciate that. And find us free and available wherever you get your podcast. That includes Roku, Amazon Fire, and the SXM app. All right, guys. Bears didn't have a great day yesterday. We're going to get into that as well. But the Vikings made some noise as well. And I'm going to leave it up to you to tell me whether this is good or bad news. Arif Hasan, Cam Akers is now Minnesota Viking. They trade a 2026 late round pick. In fact, a pick swap in 2026. So they basically give up nothing to get Cam Akers in the building. What do you think?
There's not much to think about it, honestly. I don't think that Cam Akers moves the needle. I think that, like, pointing this out, people seem to think that you're saying it's a bad move. I don't think it's a bad move. In fact, I'd argue it's marginally a good move. I'm just saying that, like, it probably doesn't mean much in terms of improving the run game. In fact, Dalton Risner probably means a lot more should he, actually start for the Vikings. So, ever since his return from the Achilles injury, Akers has lost a lot of explosiveness. Before then, I didn't regard him as a particularly great back. I know that a lot of people did, but I just don't think that he's got the ability to really be a game changer as a running back. Maybe he will actually generate a 10-plus yard run, but those are kind of on the margins type things. I don't think that this meaningfully improves the run game a lot. That doesn't mean it's a bad move. It's a cheap running back. It's a very, very far to the future late round pick swap. So sure. I mean, there's more upside here than with Madison. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, doesn't move the needle much. Obviously, the fit makes a bunch of sense on paper. He's comfortable. He's well-versed in the offense. Not a huge transition with the playbook, all that stuff. Obviously, you mentioned it. The price was right. I mean, you're basically paying peanuts, basically nothing for him. So risk-reward factor, that goes in the win column as well. But I've never been, like, the biggest Akers fan, to be honest. So doesn't really get me that jacked up. Clearly, though, they're just looking for something to help rejuvenate this running game. We know Alexander Mattison kind of is who he is. He's never going to be confused with the most explosive guy in the world. Akers maybe gives you a little bit more of that, more speed, more pop out of the backfield. So maybe a good complement, a good balance to one another. But saying all that, I think my biggest question, right, or maybe cause for concern is, what does this say about Ty Chandler? And last year it was Kene. This year it's Ty so far, only through 2 weeks, small sample size, I know, but like, why aren't these running back twos being brought in more and working into the game plan and seeing the field kind of like we all assumed and hoped they would? Kene, I know, has always been one thing, like never shown the pass pro and the hands to be on the field in some critical junctures and moments of the game. Plus, he's not from this regime. He was a Spielman pick, so that makes sense. But it's like everything we were told this season was like, this is KOC's guy. Ty Chandler, he handpicked him last year on day 3. Now we're only 2 weeks into the season. I get it. But so far, even with Dalvin gone and everything else, this was supposed to be a huge opportunity to steal some of that pie, some of the share here. And it just doesn't seem like he's lived up to the expectations so far. And again, I know it's still early, but now with the signing of Cam Akers, doesn't really spell a lot of those concerns or questions or fears, I guess. So I'm a little confused. But again, Price was right to acquire a guy that, if anything, it can't hurt you. That's for sure.
Price was
How much
right.
do we-
Rest in peace, Bob Barker.
How much do we actually expect Cam Akers to play here? Like, is he going to take half the snaps, or is he going to take the 6 reps Ty Chandler gets a game?
How much do they hate Myles Gaskin too? Like that.
Yeah.
That was the guy.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
Claim
remember-
for
remember Myles
functional
Gaskin?
waiver claim.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to add, to what Luke, we should probably always think about the phrase "he handpicked this guy on day 3." I think maybe
This is my guy. Go get your guys. Okay.
Go
Yeah,
get your
I- like-
guys.
Kevin
Obviously-
O'Connell.
Can I have a
loves him.
pick yet? Hey, KOC's just
Loves
sitting in the court. Can I
crappy
have a pick
Rams.
yet?
Right.
No, not yet.
right.
All right. We're on the
Like
clock.
I
Pick
love day
212.
3 picks. Obviously, I love.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
We're running backs.
all of us are sickos for undrafted guys and day 3 picks, and when they hit, we go nuts. Like it doesn't have to be a Stephon Diggs, right? It can just be a Caleb Evans. We can just be like, yeah, this rules.
Mhm.
But yeah, we gotta stop thinking going into year 2 that this guy is oh, he handpicked him in the
Day
fifth
3,
round.
dude.
Yeah, right. It's
Day 3?
okay.
Yeah, there's only 3 days, right?
Yeah.
Day 3 pick, though, dude.
Yeah, God, I didn't even think about Myles Gaskin, which I think also
Yeah.
tells you something.
Maybe they aren't either.
He is on the roster, right? I'm
Yeah,
not wrong.
yeah.
He's
Yeah,
there.
they're trying to figure out what transaction to complete to figure out the trade once he passes his physical. Just go through Myles. Oh God. Oh, there's
Right.
Myles Gaskin's right on the roster. Oh, what have we done?
And we still got McBride on the practice squad sitting there, right?
Yeah.
Buried
Yeah.
now. Buried.
Buried.
Did they make what was the transaction to get Risner?
I don't.
Oli
think they
Udo,
made-
right? To the IR.
Was it the Udo move?
Mhm.
I thought
Yeah,
that was Dalton
probably.
Risner.
Oh,
I
They
thought-
made
yeah, I
the
thought
Udo
Dalton
move
Risner-
prior.
I think I think they're going to wait until Akers passes a physical before they make a corresponding move.
Right. Akers has not been in. Well, no,
Yeah.
it has been announced. The trade
It's
has
been
been
announced.
announced.
It's
but it
been
won't
announced,
officially
yeah.
join the roster until he.
But
he passes
the announcement
physical.
said pending physical. That was
Yeah.
in the announcement. So unless the
Fair.
Vikings just had 52 people on the roster, we just didn't notice.
They actually might have.
We're very good at our job.
Braun, I don't know if
Dragging
you
that
ever got
bottom
out your
roster
thoughts
stuff.
on this though. This Cam Akers.
I don't have a
comes
lot
from-
of them. It's functionally a waiver claim for another bad Ram. All right, O'Connell, you do you, I guess. I don't think he changes much about the run game. Even if he does come in and start, it's okay, bad running back for bad running back. I get that he was really exciting before he tore his Achilles, and I get that he had this cool stretch at the end of last year, but I just don't trust that. So there's a little bit of let me see it to believe it. But ultimately, business as usual. They made a waiver claim. This guy was about to get cut, and they said, "Here, let me give you anything so that we can get first priority on
So we can be
waivers."
at the
That
top
is
of
what
the
this is.
Oh,
Which
okay, how
wouldn't
about
the
this?
Vikings be near the top of the waivers anyway?
Probably near, but not at, because I got to imagine
Is it
draft
point
order
differential?
still. Yeah.
Yeah.
or
Seth
draft order. Or
Walder's
is it even-
breakdown of
I have no
the
idea.
trade
Yeah.
put
Yeah,
out
let's
there
see
that
what
this
it
might
says.
be an upgrade at running back 1 for the Vikings.
Good luck.
So is that ludicrous to say based on what we've seen from Alexander Madison?
Almost anything would. Yeah, I don't think Seth Walder even disagrees that almost anything would be
It'd
yeah.
be
okay,
like
yeah,
saying
sure.
Ross Blacklock was an upgrade on Dalvin or on Jonathan
Tomlinson.
Bullard or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They did the Ross Blacklock trade for this. That's what they paid for him. You
I
do
think
not
I
have
paid
to
more
care.
for Blacklock if I.
No, I'm pretty sure it was a 6-7 swap 3 years from now.
Oh hell yeah!
I know it was coach speak, but all summer
could be
they
wrong.
just hammered the point home that we love Alexander Madison. We're excited to give
I
him
don't
the
think
bulk
they
of the
were
carries.
lying when they said.
I don't
that.
think so either. So it would still surprise me though, just after 2 weeks. And who knows, maybe Cam Akers isn't even active this game, but like,
yeah, that would be like super reactionary if they were like, oh,
Right.
we need a Madison replacement.
Right.
Oh my
We're
God.
freaking
And
out.
then they went and found the cheapest guy they could possibly
Right.
get. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think so, man.
They
I think
could-
Kevin
I mean-
O'Connell just likes a dude he coached before.
yeah.
I mean, like with Brandon Powell and Troy Reader, like these things happen and they don't happen for very long, it turns
No.
out. But
Risner was that too with Chris Cooper.
yeah, okay,
It's
that's
just
Can
Vikings
we
do this a
power
lot.
rank the former Rams that they've brought in?
I mean, if you have a
God.
list available, yeah.
Bobby
but-
Evans, Troy
Last.
Reader, Tristan
Evan
Jackson,
in the last.
Wow.
Cam
Tristan
Akers.
Jackson was I thought it was a
Tristan
Bronco.
Jackson's not. He's been with the Vikings.
No, but he started on the Rams, didn't he?
Pretty sure
Yeah,
Tristan.
but they didn't
started
like
on
bring
the
him in. I mean, he was already on the roster. Like that's a totally different situation.
Oh, KOC didn't bring him in. Oh, he was already on the roster.
I don't know about that.
Really?
I don't know
Okay,
about
whatever.
No. Yeah.
that. You sure about that?
Not
You
100%,
sure about that?
but I was like reasonably confident. That
Waived by the Rams, August
No,
2021.
2021. So
Yeah.
Kevin
So, yeah,
O'Connell was
you're
still Tristan Jackson was here before.
Brandon Powell also on that list.
I already
yeah.
said that.
Okay.
Mhm.
There's like
Cool,
5
okay.
guys.
All right, that was fun.
Yeah,
all right.
great exercise.
Yeah, awesome.
So we all agree, I think, and I agree with this. I'm not overly hyped. This isn't a transformative move. I'm not out on the running game completely. I think they'll figure it out to some extent and not be down by 20 in games and be able to run the ball a little bit more. But it feels broken.
It doesn't just feel broken. You talk about the running game, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
just feel broken. It is broken, dude. It's smashed. Have you seen some of these stats? Like,
Yeah, if it
I
were
know
for
it's only 2
Pittsburgh,
weeks,
we would be
so it's
breaking
like
charts.
stats, 2 weeks, small sample size stats. Couple games get out of control. Stats get a little wonky. Averaging 34 yards per game, last in the NFL, 2.7 yards per carry, 30th. Exactly 2 rushing first downs. That's dead last. There's teams that have like 20 rushing first downs. I mean, the Eagles had like 38 against us on like one drive.
38 first downs
On one drive.
If you go to rbsdm.com and like look at the run game chart, we've broken it. Like we
It's
are
broke.
so far out,
Dude,
everything
it
else
rules.
gets crunched together.
Yeah.
And then if you
yeah.
click exclude turnovers, we go back into the pack and we end up like 28th.
Yikes, dude. Okay.
That's so nice.
We're not even last.
Hey.
Yeah.
What is that?
Madison,
If you
PPA?
forgive all the fumbles.
Madison
Right,
yards
yeah.
after contact. Yards after contact per attempt. Alexander Madison, 38th in the NFL through 2 games.
They've
Not
also run 26 times.
Right.
Yeah,
20
so
I get
I
it.
actually
get
I
it.
don't
Totally.
mind
get
the rushing totals thing. Obviously, the Vikings are rushing a lot less in part because of how poor the running game is. I think that's playing a role in the running totals. But like it doesn't bother me that they're last in the NFL in rush yards. I mean, they're in close games. What bothers me is that when they run the ball, they're very bad at it, right? Like the other stuff is like whatever, right? Like you can be very good at running the ball and you're the bottom in rush yards per game. That's a thing that happens sometimes. The Patriots have done it. Like I don't care. But just in terms of like when you run the ball, then my number one rule of running the ball is to not screw up the offense. You cannot F it up. That's the number one rule, right? So that means fumbles and that means no negatives. Yeah, exactly. Like you cannot take the offense off of schedule. You cannot create a 2nd and 13 because now you're fighting uphill, right? So that's the one thing. And the Vikings are just like kind of not there, right? Obviously the fumbles, right? But which the fumbles play a disproportionately high role because they run the ball so little that the one fumble, it's pretty important, right? But
Right. It's magnified so much more, of course. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, okay, so I don't expect the Vikings. So I'm sorting by rush EPA. I don't expect the Vikings to be in Philadelphia territory. They're 3rd in rush EPA. The Baltimore Ravens 5th. The Atlanta Falcons 4th. Number 1 is Buffalo, although technically they don't really use Josh Allen as a runner as much as they did before. I think there's like a pretty clear trend here, right? A lot of these quarterbacks are running threats. Okay, fine. I don't expect that. But, the Jets have Dalvin Cook in their 12th.
Yeah.
And, Breece Hall is running the
Dalvin's
ball
cooked.
more than, yeah. And so, the Broncos are 13th. Like that's,
Yeah, no, I know.
That's-
And I know half the conversation is the chicken or the egg. The offensive line really hasn't done many favors in the run
I
game.
think it's
You watch
primarily
some of the
offensive
film.
line,
I
but
mean,
yeah.
Ezra Cleveland, it's all three of them on the interior. Ezra Cleveland one play, Ed Ingram one play. You got a backup center in the game. I think the average time before contact for a ball carry is something like a yard to a yard and a half or 2 yards, something like that. Maybe Luke or Arif knows. Right now, Madison is being met on average at like 0.7, 0.8 yards
like
beyond the line of scrimmage. So like plenty of blame to go around on everyone, I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Half a yard.
The Josh
in the
Oliver
heyday.
thing's not really clicking yet either. I mean, that was supposed to be the transformative move.
It's not
and
enough. He's doing
like
well,
Jordan
but it's not
Addison's got to
enough.
be on the field too. Like you don't want to take him off to get Hawkinson.
A good blocking tight end can only be additive. It cannot fix, right? It's not transformative in the same way because an interior blocker is just worth so much more in terms of getting you to zero, right? Once you're past that, once you get to average, once your interior line is done well enough, that blocking tight end can do so much for you. Being able to dig out a linebacker is so helpful, right?
Yeah, or hold up on an end or whatever, like
right, yeah, like that's really great. But if your guards can't stop, not even just like a Vita Vea or an Aaron Donald, right? Can't stop like a Milton Williams from backdooring you. Like that, I mean, I don't want to like knock Milton Williams too much, but he's like an average tackle, right?
Yeah.
Like then it doesn't matter that Josh Oliver's got this like devastating block 5 yards downfield on an outside run. You're at the 0 yard line. Like okay. So like, yeah, Josh Oliver, I don't think was necessarily a bad signing in a vacuum for the intentions that they had, but they like really needed to make sure they were confident about the state of their interior offensive line and its run blocking capability. And they couldn't be. And that's actually probably the real issue here with the week 3 signings / trades is that it just feels like the Vikings were surprised at how wrong they were. And that's a feeling more than it is an evaluation, right? Like, it's not bad that they signed Dalton Risner, probably. It's not bad that they traded. I mean, you never know. It's not bad that they traded for Cam Akers. But it is indicative that maybe they were overconfident in their evaluation abilities coming out of spring, heading into training camp, that they didn't do much about it, even though they knew they might need it to, right? Because they hosted running backs, right? Kareem Hunt was one of the people that they hosted, right? They hosted,
they had guys like on call. Like I don't know about with Risner, you lost 2 linemen, or you're down 3 linemen right now.
You're down 40%
on, like,
of your
ankle and
line,
stuff.
or 60, whatever.
So I think there's like we just need a body thing, and then with Akers again, it's I don't know. Kevin O'Connell liked a guy and he was free. I don't know if that's we've got a roster problem, we got to go fix it. Like I don't know how proactive that is versus opportunity.
It really depends on like what their roles end up being, right? Like if Dalton Risner,
if they come in and like replace Ed Ingram, then it's like, okay, why did you not do that in May? But I don't know if that's going to necessarily be the case.
But that's like what it feels like, right? Like that's kind of the energy we're getting out of this is just like, oh, so the roster like wasn't complete. Like, yeah, maybe these guys are all backups, right? Risner was out there. He says 16 teams contacted him. Like, bro, why'd you sign for 1 and 4? Right? Like, okay, sure they did, but
Risner certainly won the press conference yesterday in the court of public opinion.
Oh yeah, I only heard some snippets. Give me like 2 or 3 of your favorite just one-liners. I heard he was great.
Before you do that, just remember who else has won a press conference.
Mr. Boone.
Yeah, so
definite Boone vibes on this one. Let's talk a little Risner presser after a word from Jase Medical. You don't want to be unprepared in life. Life throws a lot of stuff at you. And sometimes that can be a little bit unsettling if something medical happens and you don't have the right resources around you. That's why the Jase Case exists, providing you 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use, giving you that peace of mind so you're not crossing your fingers, you're not knocking on wood that you'll have access to the right medication in an emergency. You will have it on hand with the Jase Case. Jase Medical is simple. They handle the evaluation. They've got licensed pharmacy medication delivery. They've got ongoing consultation and care. And you're not going to get caught unprepared with their expert help. Save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jase Medical, plus an additional $20 off using the code LOCKEDON, one word, locked on, at checkout at jasemedical.com. JASE medical.com. Use the promo code locked on and make sure you have that peace of mind and security. We await a visit from Ron Johnson as well on today's show. Let's talk Dalton Risner in the building yesterday. Luke Inman, you wanted some one-liners.
Yeah, I know he mentioned, hey, I had like 14 offers going on. There was like 13 or 14 teams interested in me, and it came down to one. He was going to sign with one team, like within hours.
He knows how to tell a story.
Yeah, he knows how to tell a story.
He wove,
I would love to know that team, though. By the way, I would love.
And he wouldn't. He said he didn't want to get in trouble. He wouldn't give it to anybody.
That's smart.
He said off the record, I'll give it to you, just not right here in this room.
He said he was running around.
What was it?
Off the record.
Yeah. Sam, tell us after the show.
Yeah, can't reveal my source on that one. Can't
expose the source.
Can't. Yeah.
Oh, didn't he also say he manipulated or kind of like tricked everybody with the airport picture?
Yeah, he was definitely messing with everybody. Of course he was.
Yeah, he's messing with everybody, but like I don't know, like it had every it's the Denver airport. It goes everywhere.
Right. So it's everybody else's fault, basically.
Did you not know what he was doing there? Like, come on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But he's like, I just got back from Houston or Dallas back to Denver from working out, and I just snapped a picture of the arrival or departure list and just threw it up there just to mess with everybody.
He was pretty honest.
That he was just at the airport the whole time waiting for a team to call, and then he would book a flight.
Right.
He's just sitting there with a sleeping
bag. Pending free agent airport
Tom
pick
Hanks in that
is
one
such or like the location drop is such a cliche.
Well, it's great because most of the time it's at the destination, right? They're like, oh, I'm in Minneapolis, but this was like, hey, I'm in the Denver airport.
Where am I going?
Who knows?
Spin the wheel.
Sorry, Sam. You've been trying to tell some story for like 10 minutes now, and we can't. The Denver airport bit is just too funny.
I've never been able to slow you guys down before. So what's changed? Yeah, he had the reputation of being a little tough to deal with, right, in Denver, and he acknowledged that. Okay, the little sideline blow up last year that might not have looked great. Alex Boone vibes were very, very strong. You guys think Risner plays Sunday?
He does not seem to think that he will.
That's a lot.
That's quick, man. I think that's quick. Yeah. Unless he's bunking with TJ Hawkinson and it's just like, okay, what'd you do, dude? How'd you get up to speed, man? I mean, look, what are the tricks?
He's played with Chris Cooper before. He's played in these schemes before.
And that
we have every expectation that Cam Akers can play right away.
So I was going to say, I think there's probably a difference, though. I think that being an offensive lineman, it is a little bit more difficult to pick up the playbook and your responsibilities, and in particular, your feel for your teammates, than it is at running back. I think that it just takes a little bit less time to acclimate to a new situation, a new playbook at running back. And historically, I think that's been the case. Midseason trades for running backs. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, maybe not a fair comparison, but there's been like 5 or 6 examples. I've been going through them to check out the Cam Akers stuff. 5 or 6 examples of running backs switching teams midway through the season. They tend to play right away, and they tend to pick up where they left off if they're starters. Whereas with offensive linemen, I just think that the playbook is a little bit more difficult to learn because you have to be very particular about the way that you approach your blocks, and your blocks are going to be different from play to play in ways where your reads as a running back are not. Like, obviously there's coaching points unique to each scheme, right? And don't get me wrong, sometimes they get insanely specific, right? Like on a wide zone, some schemes may coach the running back to keep their eyes on your but like on the outside tackles, right butt cheek. And then the other one in another scheme, say left butt cheek. And that's just very important to some coaches. Like, it can be weirdly specific, but for the most part, it is more translatable.
Like pretty specific too, depending on like what fronts you typically see and how you want to block that up and whether you're reaching or driving or whatever.
And a lot of times it'll be dependent on, like, if in that example, how the offensive tackle is expected to block on that same play. It could be different, right? And so, which then reinforces the fact that actually a lot of that's on the offensive lineman, and the fact that adapting to a new scheme is difficult for them too. So I think you're more likely to see a running back take snaps early into their tenure with a new team than an offensive lineman. But I don't expect Dalton Risner to play. It sounds like he doesn't. The thing that like really intrigues me is that there's been a lot of promotional material surrounding a mid-season signing, 1 year, $4 million.
They're on Twitter, aren't they?
Yeah. 2, He the way he talks about it, it's like a long-term move. It's a 1-year contract. Like he's talking about this like he was born to be a Viking. He's excited to be here long-term. And it's
He's
like,
wearing
that's
purple
great.
again, Arif.
Yeah.
He wanted to wear purple
Yeah.
again.
That's fantastic, man. That's destiny. Please sign a longer contract then. Like you're talking about your wife wanting to go to Minnesota. That's crazy.
It's beautiful
PR,
this
baby.
time of year. Why wouldn't you want that?
I'm just saying, don't move until you've got more than a year.
Right.
Yeah, fair enough. Ron Johnson joins us now at 3Ron Johnson on X, host of the Ron Johnson Show here on Locked On Sports Minnesota. We're talking Risner, Ron, and we've been talking Cam Akers. So, two-part question.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the new guard and the new running back. I guess you weighed in on the guard signing on your show on Tuesday. So let's start with the running back. Cam Akers acquired last night in a trade. What do you think?
I think people are overreacting for no reason. I've seen both sides of it, but mainly I have to say Henry Lake, he tweeted that the front office, this is a panic move.
Yeah.
How? Like, how is it a panic move?
I love to panic with 6th-round picks 3 years into the
Right.
future.
Like 2026.
I bought a panic gumball. Like
2026 conditional 7th-round pick and a 6th-round pick, and we're like, this is a panic move. Like, you get a kid out of Florida State for 6 and 7. You get a kid that had almost 800 yards rushing, and we're talking about this is a panic. Like, the fact that Alexander Madison has not shown he can carry the load like Dalvin Cook did, the fact that we don't really know what we have in Alexander Madison. I think there's less about Madison and more of Kane being on IR. Kane Wong will be on IR. Ty Chandler not really shown much yet, not really given the opportunity. There's a pass first offense, run second. Who has done that before? Ding, ding, ding. Cam Akers. He has been in an offense that was a pass first Rams offense that then he had to figure out, how do I get going? And I'm only going to touch the ball 15 times on 144 touches. He had, or 188 touches. He gained almost 800 yards. He had 13 receptions. So this is a guy that knows how to play in this type of offense. And maybe that's what Kevin O'Connell was thinking. He's like, look, I want to get more like I was with the Rams. How can I do that? Oh, let's go get the Rams running back. Like let's just try that and see if this works. That's what I think they're doing. Like, to act like this is like a like pets' heads are falling off and people are losing limbs and everybody's running around and the house is on fire. That's not what this move is. This move is clearly we are a pass first offense. How can I find a running back that's used to sitting back there for 3 to 5 downs and not sniffing the ball? And then I said, hey, go get me 7 yards. Cam Akers has done it for the Rams, and I think that's what they're trying. Now, it might not work, but again, that's why you try stuff. That's where, like, if Alexander Graham Bell hadn't thought about, like, man, I wonder what I can create. Like, come on now. Like people have done stuff and created stuff, and like I bet people were thinking, like, you really think this car is about to go without a horse? Man, I'm gonna keep my horse. You go ahead and take that car. Like, Burger King didn't use credit cards. I just saw a commercial for that. The first time, or Instagram, like the old article / story on the news when Burger King started accepting credit cards, and the lady was like, if you can't afford to pay for a burger $3.18 with your own money, you got to get credit for that. Oh my gosh. Like, you shouldn't be having a burger. Like, think about that. Like, it's always been people trying stuff, and we've had negative people the entire way. Cam Akers is just another in the long line of negative people. And we don't know what we're going to get. He might not be ready to play this week or next week because it's a lot to learn. But at the end of the day, he's been in this offense before, so he knows what Kevin O'Connell's thinking. He knows what he wants to do, and that's all this is about. This has nothing to do with anybody besides I need a running back who can not touch the ball for most of the game but still give me production.
Do you really want to compare
there.
trading for Cam Akers to the invention of the telephone?
That's where we're at.
No, stick by it. Stick by it.
I like
What happens when you go 0-2, man? This is what happens when you start 0-2.
No, this is just a normal day on the Minnesota football party.
Just saying. Just saying.
Are we afraid at all?
What did Benjamin
of
Franklin?
the
Did he
Cam-
create something? Like, what did he do?
Nah, nothing cool.
A lot, but none of it's really relevant.
None of it's stuck.
A $100 bill he invented. That's why his face is on it.
Yeah, that's
Are
exactly.
we worried
you
at
got
all
it,
about
Sam.
Cam Akers like feuding with his coach? Like, what happened there? Do we know about that? Is that a concern? I know,
Yeah,
like,
what's
Kevin
the deal
O'Connell
with that?
knows him, so I'm sure
What's
he's
it like?
fine. But
It says Cam Akers, because Kevin O'Connell, I guess, was asked about this. It says Cam Akers slowly started slowly and clashed with the coaches. He was sent away from the team at the midseason while the Rams tried to trade him. So that's one of the stories. And this is Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell, offensive coordinator Wes Phillips, and Chris Hara were Rams assistants during Akers' first 2 years. So, this is something that like they knew about. Like they definitely knew about it and something.
Okay. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about Dalton Risner. Is there a reason to be excited about that signing? Do you think that, people are making a little bit too much of it? Is the team Twitter account making too much of it? Like he's featured there a lot.
Well, the fact that people always say, like, I remember for years was like, they're going to draft a guy. Does he play guard? 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 Hey, he plays guard. So I think that was the social media team. That was just a rare W from the social media team, just trying to play into the fans. They wanted to take a win, and so they got the win there. I do want to say that Sam Ekstrom, there's a guy named Sam Ekstrom I saw on Twitter that he needs to delete that tweet that said feels like what's the dude that came here?
Alex Boone.
Alex Boone. Don't put Alex Boone in the same sentence as Dalton Risner. Like Alex Boone came here and said, I want to punch the Packers in the face. And what happened? Nothing. So I hope I didn't see the whole Dalton Risner like thing. I hope he didn't say anything like that, like he wants to punch people. So that's what my question to Sam Ekstrom. Oh, he's here. I thought he was only on Twitter.
Oh, hey.
On X. Sorry, he was on X.
Hey.
That sounds like he's on ecstasy though. I don't like that. Anyway, but Sam on X. Why did you feel like that was an Alex Boone thing? What did he say that made you prompted that?
He just personality wise, he's a guard who came in and talked very brashly, confidently, used some curse words, like just kind of came in like a bat out of hell.
But he didn't want to punch anybody on the other team.
Right? He's ready to punch other people. He's definitely like, that's kind of the vibe I got.
But he didn't say that. Right. That's
I don't think he said he's
critical.
Not but he said it with his eyes, like he said it with his body language.
Sam.
I looked into his eyes that I couldn't look away. Was he like Prince? Did you have a Prince David Chappelle moment?
I got lost in his eyes a little bit.
He had a purple aura. He had a purple light behind him. Sam was like, I just looked in his eyes.
Was it K-State?
I saw Lyman getting punched. Well, good he didn't say it. That's why I was a little concerned. I'm like, please don't be this guy that comes in because Alex Boone to me came in super tough guy-ish, like trying to be like Kyle Turley. He had a Komodo dragon blown up in his front yard and all kinds of weird stuff. Like he was trying to be something that he's not. And then it didn't work out in games. But the fact that Dalton Risner didn't say that, he's just saying it with his eyes and his hips. His hips don't lie.
His hips don't lie.
Then I'm okay with that. So my take on Dalton Risner is this. He's a guy that really wants to play. Me and Sam talked about this. He had a UCL injury, which is mainly throwing arm stuff for baseball players, quarterbacks, certain tennis players might get it. He doesn't have to use that arm in the remotion that a UCL can get hurt. He didn't have surgery, so it's like a 4 to 6 week return. It's been longer than that, so he's good there. I think at the end of the day, he's a guy that can play left or right guard. He's a veteran guy, a veteran presence in that locker room. And Gabe Henderson was on our show, and I just asked him, I said, do you think there's a chance for Eddie Ingram to have a fire lit under his butt to say, look, you either play well or we're going to like move on from you. And I hope that it's the latter. I hope that he plays well. I hope that the Vikings, I hope he doesn't come out and just get super confused by like, oh, I didn't know Bosa was good, and just let him walk right past him and say, I'm going to pick up the next guy that's more dangerous because you're not as dangerous to me. If that happens, then I can see Dalton rising playing pretty fast. I think eventually he's going to play anyway, but I think the Vikings hope that they don't have to throw him into the fire. But at the end of the day, again, I bought this up with Sam. Offensive line, I played tight end for the Bears, and so learning the offensive line calls, it's hard and easy at the same time. And the reason I say that is because of the scheme. If you're running a zone scheme on the run game, you're just moving as a chorus. You're moving as a group, and you're picking up what's in your area. You're not taking a guy. So when they loop and twist, it doesn't affect you. You keep moving. Now, you do have guys that aren't that smart, and it's so fast, they screw it up, and it's a zone, and they see their guy loop, and they're like, oh, shoot, and they shoot over, or they slow down, and they get beat inside because they're not thinking, like, just keep moving. The next guy's going to pick them up. In the man scheme, same thing. It's just having a conversation. Look, 56, if he comes, I got him. But me and you right him, we're going to double team him. That's the conversation where I think Dalton Risner's used to. He's a veteran. So all that I think he could help. I mean, Bradbury's out, but I think he could help Austin Schlottman a lot as well, being a veteran guard, being able, like if Schlottman says Mike 22 and he's like, no. Let's make the mic 55. Here's why. Boom, 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 boom. Like, that's the stuff where Dalton Risner, I think, helped this offensive line out because he can help them through this calls. And I forget, Sam, who we had. Oh, Eric Decker. We had Eric Decker on, and he talked about how Peyton Manning would do that, how Peyton Manning would have the canny ability to make certain people the mic that he knew who was going to come. So now he's already picked up. He's already in the count of 5 or 6, and there's no confusion. Not saying Dalton Risner is there yet, but I think Kirk Cousins with Dalton Risner, that could be a huge help to say, hey, what's the call? Boom, boom, this is what we're doing. Hey, look, I've seen this look before. Let's do this, this, and this. And through the week, too, like, hey, I know what this West Coast team and the Chargers can do. I know what Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa want to do. All that kind of stuff, having that conversation, I think is going to be a big, big help for that offensive line.
So you mentioned the Chargers really quickly. We haven't talked about that game at all. There's so much stuff has happened these past 7 days since the game. With that Chargers, like, first of all, the Chargers seem to be about as much of a mess right now as the Vikings, at least on the field in terms of being able to close out. What do you expect? Do you think the Vikings have the ability to kind of go out and actually just prove that they can win a game definitively, not just this close games? I don't want to talk about close games anymore. Like, or do you think that both the teams have such a capacity for just being in late close games that's all we're gonna see?
Yeah, I hate to say it. I hope so too, because I think America wants that. They want to see Justin Herbert and Kirk Cousins go toe to toe and just throw a ton. We saw the 36-34 game they had against the Dolphins. The one thing I will say about the Chargers, they have some problems in that secondary. Like, they leave certain guys uncovered that is very perplexing and confusing when you watch the tape. It doesn't make any sense. Like, Tyreek Hill's in the slot and you're going to have a high safety cover him. I get you're scared of him going deep, but what about him just catching a 5-yard route with nobody around him? He's still going to hurt you. And so I think the Vikings can take advantage there by moving. Like, you saw Tyreek Hill, if you watched it, he was in the slot. He was in the middle. Like, he was the inside receiver and 3 wide, like literally 1 to 2 yards from the tackle. He was out wide. Like, they moved him around a ton, and it felt like the Chargers never really understood who was going to guard him, where is he going to go, what to do. And I hope Kevin O'Connell does that with Justin Jefferson. And then vice versa for that defense. Justin Herbert, he's not mobile, but he runs. And that's the tough part too. This Vikings defense we've seen get hurt when they crash and think I got a sack and they miss. Justin Herbert's a guy that can hurt you with his legs. He'll get you 10 to 15 yards. And so that's where this defense has to, one, you got to figure out your packages. This is also a team you can use your safeties. I mean, this is what Brian Flores was planning on. Teams like this that are going to go multiple receivers. We know Eckler can run the ball, but this is a time where we're going to see 4 safeties on the field a lot. Not to say a lot, but decent parts in this game. We're going to see 4 safeties on this field. PJ Fleck brought this up with Jack Henderson on the PJ Fleck show. Jack Henderson can play. He's the safety like Antoine Winfield that plays nickel. He's tall and long that can play backer. I think that's what Josh Metellus gives you. He can play the corner. He can play the nickel. Same with Cam Bynum. You're seeing Cam Bynum get used more in coverage. So, yes, I think this is a game that could, like, even if the Vikings have a lead, the Chargers can come back and vice versa, because neither has really shown they can put their foot on somebody's throat and close a game out. So we might be looking at a 31-28 game.
Well, let me get just a little bit more specific on that, because between the two teams, just from what you've seen so far, like, which fan base, if you're a fan of either team, which fan base should feel better about what their team has put on film and just how they've performed thus far? Like, which team is more realistically, of both these 0-2 teams, is more realistically fixable right now and still has a kind of a foundation of positive traits they can build off? Like, who's just playing better football right now, the Chargers or the Vikings?
Both. I mean, honestly, if you look at the Chargers offense, like, they're playing pretty good football. The Vikings, it's the turnovers. So
yeah,
it's tough to say the turnovers are fixable because they're not. Like, that's just, you need to hold on to the ball. You need to not throw certain, play. You need to block the edge. I mean, Christian Darrisaw's coming back, so hopefully the Kirk Cousins not having time to throw the ball, blindside hits, hopefully those go away. I will say the Vikings seem the most fixable just because the Chargers defense to me seems like a fundamental issue. Like, it seems like they're so worried that they're trying to guess the route combos when they see the formation, because when Tyreek Hill is in the slot with 1 receiver and 3 the other side and they're going 5 empty, he tends to run those deep, plays, and then they try to trick you with Jalen Waddle coming across. well, they did the crosser, but they just had, again, it could be Tyreek Hill realizing like nobody's covering me. Why am I going to run deep? And he just broke it off and ran like a hot route. So some of their stuff maybe seems a little bit more fundamental, where the Vikings seem like they're playing good football and it's just the turnover. So, and do the Chargers actually have fans? I mean, their fans are AI, like it's like robots. So I don't think the robots care. But I would say the Vikings fans should be more secure. I think the robots, I'd be more scared of the Chargers fans because we have not learned from history. Like the last time I saw iRobot does not make me want to put robots in the stadium. Like it just doesn't.
Great movie.
We
Great
can't
movie,
win unless we have Will Smith. And like, he's too old now. Like I don't know if he can fight a bunch of robots. I mean, like, no, like Chargers fans, no, they better not bring one of them to Minnesota too. Cause I could see them putting that on a plane and then trying to like set us up and put it in our stadium. Like, don't do that.
Did they do that?
Do you think
at like a
those were
baseball game or
robots?
something?
The Chargers,
Like a movie promo?
it was a movie promo for the Chargers game. Like they were
Yeah,
at the
it was
Chargers,
at the Chargers game.
They
Yeah.
had them like in the like food court. They had them in seats. They
Yeah,
had
they
them
had 'em in
walking
seats.
around.
Whatever you got to do to fill seats, I guess.
It was super weird. And then like the
I mean,
only
that's
reason,
not why, but yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah. Well, how
the
else
reason-
are they going to fill so
the
far
reason I
stadium?
saw it was because somebody posted it first on Instagram because
With the
she was
posting
sitting
kids.
next to him and she's like, I'm sitting next to a robot. And everybody thought it was a joke. And then all of a sudden, I think Sports Center or somebody came out with like, yeah, the Chargers are testing out blah, blah for a movie promo and they put robots in the seats. Like,
Okay, so
What?
so my thing is like, so obviously like the fact that the Chargers don't have a ton of pull with the local fan base plays a pretty big role here. But like, this is actually, I don't think this is a bad move. This is such a natural integration with LA. Like, lean into the fact that you're in Los Angeles, right? And do crazy movie stuff. Like, again, putting robots in the stands, like that only happens because you don't have other people to put in the stands.
true.
But
True.
I do think that that's actually a really smart way because like the Chargers have such difficulty connecting with Los Angeles for like fairly obvious reasons. So you might as well just be like, all right, yeah, we're LA, we're Los Angeles. That's fine. Let's do it.
True. And maybe the Kardashians will show up now because robots are there. They're like, oh, let's go to the movies. And it's a football game. Like,
Into
right,
football,
yeah.
yeah, they have no idea, right? But like, I am kind of concerned about everyone's media literacy. A bunch of people tweeted out like, "Oh wow, it's crazy what they're doing with technology these days." And it's like, no, it's not. That's makeup. Makeup has been a technology for centuries. Those are not real robots. And there were people who thought they were real robots. And it's like, have you seen the last time someone tried to make a realistic human robot? Elon Musk trotted out a robot, and it was just a person in a suit. Like, just relax. Like, AI is weird and it's uncanny, but this is not that. Just relax.
Just put a Tesla in the seats.
Might as well put a Cybertruck in the seats.
That's hilarious. Roundtable tomorrow. Ron will run the show. Reggie Wilson, Julia Daniels joining from Care 11. We'll have our final predictions and FanDuel locks for the game tomorrow, Ron, for Vikings Chargers. Thanks a lot for joining. Appreciate your insight, and we'll see you tomorrow on the roundtable. All right.
Appreciate it. I will say for the fans, Justin Jefferson, keep an eye on his usage this week. The Chargers are very vulnerable to a receiver that moves around in different spots. So hopefully Kevin O'Connell takes advantage. Justin Jefferson might go for 200 yards.
I hope it happens. That would be awesome. That's a good time.
Tyreek Hill had 215. So just saying.
Hey, was the last time the Chargers played in Minnesota the AP game? Or am I missing one in between there? Because that game was absolutely wild. One of
No,
the
you're
top-
missing one in
Big Six
between.
game.
It's got to be
2015 Chad Greenway, and then 2016 preseason Teddy Bridgewater breakout before
baby.
the.
Let's not talk about
preseason,
that.
though. Come
we
on.
don't got to talk about that.
one.
I know there was one in US Bank Stadium because I got a picture with Antonio Gates. So I know there is one there. I don't remember what year that was.
Yeah. No, we could do a whole AP 296. Ron, you have a good story behind that, right? Like, you guys, didn't the Ravens protest that he didn't actually get 296?
Yeah, Jamal Lewis had 295 when we played the Browns. And yeah, when we saw the 296, everybody's like, wait a minute, let's count these. Because for the record, they do actually go back and watch film and count the yards. So they were very concerned about some of the yardage given. The only reason we know that, I'm not going to say the player, but there was a player that got credited one game with like 17 tackles. And then they went back and watched the tape and he only had like 12. And so he got credit for like 5 tackles.
That is
that he
much
was not a
more
part of.
common. That is much more common with tackles than almost any other statistics. So
True, but
that I
they
can't
just Jamal was like, "Hey, 296,
Hey, we
295.
got to check.
Check it.
Check.
Did he really get a 60-yard run there? Was that 59? You
No,
know.
it should have been over 300 anyways, but Chili just said, who cares about that?
Yeah.
300, not
can't
that
believe-
cool.
Brad Childress makes the best decisions at all times. We know that.
Yeah, that's true.
Childress.
Who are we to question?
Right. Thanks a lot, Ron. Always
Appreciate
fun.
it.
Dude, if Jefferson gets 200 yards, he'd be on pace for nearly 2,900, which we all know that on pace statistics,
But
especially
still, though, through
conditional
3
on pace
games?
consistent. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
If he gets lots of yards, he'll be on pace for lots of yards. Wow.
Hey, of
Yeah,
our
I mean-
predictions, our preseason predictions, who had the highest JJ total? I think I had 1,900.
I don't think I had. I think I was like, he'll quote unquote regress to being the league leader at 1,600 or something like that.
Got it. We should pull those up, see how we're doing through 2 games. Here,
Did I
3
say
games.
over
Maybe
2K
next week
again?
through 3 games?
That feels like something I would do.
Yeah.
Could you
No,
just throw one
we
out
can
there?
do like
Yeah.
a quarter way check-in, halfway
Yeah,
check-in,
that'd be fun.
3/4
Yeah.
check-in for sure.
Mhm. 1/3
Before we
check-in.
get to our FanDuel parlays of the week, let me tell you a little bit more about this this site called FanDuel. FanDuel is the best place to bet the National Football League because they have great promotions there at all times. They're America's #1 sportsbook for a reason. New customers signing up. You missed a couple weeks of the season, that's okay. New customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when placing a simple $5 wager. $200 in bonus bets, win or lose, it's yours at FanDuel and the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Put it on spreads, player props, over-unders, alternate lines, futures. There are so many ways to wager at FanDuel or FanDuel.com/lockedon. Bet NFL. Kick off the NFL season in style with FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. And with that, let's get into our FanDuel parlays. We have not won one yet. We are all 0-2. Our bankroll leader is Inman, basically because we bet the minimum for him last week out of the kindness of our
Yeah, what'd you
hearts
guys bet
when
for
he
me
was
last week?
gone. Jefferson yardage, which hit. And what do you think we bet if we were trying to be on brand for Inman? What do you think we bet?
Well, last year I went like 9 games in a row with the Jaguars. so
Yes!
maybe was it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it
Which
really?
lost?
I respect
Jags
it.
plus 3.5, which didn't make
I respect it. That probably
Hey.
would have been my exact parlay.
Hey, Trevor Lawrence played extremely well. Calvin Ridley is a very good receiver. He did hit the field goal post, which was unfortunate. And
Zay
honestly,
Jones dropped like 3 touchdown passes potential.
They had
2 at least.
so many close calls.
So many.
So I think we made the right choice for you, honestly. It was
Yep.
just, you know, the fate had decided.
No bitter emotions on this side of the table, guys. I respect it. What'd you go? $20 minimum?
$20 minimum. Today, the minimum is 30, max 300. Arif has gone max the last 2 weeks. He's our bankroll loser right now at $700 remaining in his bank. And he starts today with our snake draft of each leg of the parlay. So, Arif, you go first.
Got it. Okay.
All right. I'll do. So actually the lines this week, I was looking over them, look really good. There's 2 lines that are like minus 12.5, but I don't want to touch them. So it's pretty tough. I took the Eagles minus 4.5. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, I took the Eagles minus 4.5 against the Buccaneers. I don't buy the Buccaneers yet. I mean, obviously I saw what they did with the Vikings, but I don't buy the Vikings either. So I don't buy the Buccaneers yet. I think the Eagles will do a little bit better than that, even though they're on the road.
Very fair. Luke Braun.
Well, I'm taking one of those 12.5s. I feel like I'm just going to short the Bears until they start looking like a functional American business.
That looked so tempting to have the best team against the worst team while the worst team is going through the most
multiple
insane
crises.
Yeah, I'm taking it.
Offensive and defensive.
but like
crises.
every time I've gone after a team in crisis, they pull out the most amazing game you've ever seen. So I was just like, nah, I don't want this.
Yeah. I don't think the Bears have that in their culture. Like there are teams like the Texans with Lovie Smith that had this like kind of F you, we're going to win this game like at the end of the year, you know?
Or
sometimes
hey,
they have that. I think the
right?
Bears just want this to be over. I've seen I've seen of any franchise in the entire league, I have seen more instances over the years of the Chicago Bears having quitting them, and I think it's happening again.
Well,
yeah, well, it's because I keep seeing Week 17 games that don't mean anything. It's like, oh, these guys want to go home.
Yeah, well, also like what they've had one winning season since they fired Lovey. Speaking of Lovey Smith, since they fired Lovey Smith after a 10-win season,
defense podcast. So I'm taking Chiefs minus 12.5. That's minus 118.
Okay.
Yeah, they do have a lot of fast forward the season energy. That's true.
Yeah, just get me out of here, right? Please trade me.
Why did I sign?
Yeah,
a lot of free agents, a lot of 2023 free agents.
Tremaine Edmonds is like, is it worth it?
What's going on?
My bet now, I kind of like the Packers. -2 at home against Derek Carr. They probably should be 2-0. I'm going to go Green Bay to win by a field goal.
I feel so vindicated that Vegas is not all that much into the Packers. That makes me feel better.
Inman, you get to make both your selections.
I'm going back to back, huh? I'm going to take I'm going to take the Patriots -2.5. Belichick just owns the Jets just in general. All right, going back a decade plus. I know the Jets played the number 1 defense in the league last week, and they couldn't move the ball. Patriots probably the number 2 defense in the league. I don't think they're going to be able to move the ball at all. I know the Patriots offense sucks as well. I think this game comes down to defense and special teams. Both defenses are great. But if it comes down to special teams, give me the edge with the Patriots. So Patriots -2.5, and then coming back, I'm going to go anytime touchdown. And I'm going to go Chris Olave versus the Packers, who hasn't scored a touchdown yet, I believe. I don't think he scored week 1. +200.
Did he get a touchdown taken back?
Maybe he did, but Chris Olave +200, anytime touchdown. That's at +200 plus the Patriots. That's a parlay of +404. And I'm going to go, what's our max?
300.
Wow. Let me go half that. I'll go $150.
150.
Yeah, he hasn't scored a touchdown yet. You're right. He
due.
must have gotten one.
He's due. Just like the Jaguars were due for 9 straight weeks last year. He's due.
He's due.
Yeah, I'm going to try to do the opposite with that Patriots-Jets game where the over-under is 37. I'm going to the individual team point totals. I'm looking at Jets total points over 16.5. If you can muster 17 measly points, I don't care how you do it. That
Zach
hits.
Wilson?
Public.
You need a defensive touchdown, which is not that crazy.
One, man. You could get one. Or special
Public
teams.
likes it too, but it hasn't affected the number yet. It's -130, so I'm going to get that now before it changes to 17. I'm going to lock it in for 100 at +237.
I'm also going with an anytime touchdown score. Somebody else who hasn't scored a touchdown and is due. It's JJ.
Man, that was mine.
105.
I like it. I like it.
That puts me at +260. I'm going to put a clean 100 on it. He's due. And up against the Chargers.
You said?
+260 total. Yeah.
Very annoying. I thought JJ was going to snake back to me.
That's good.
Yeah, I know that my misery is something that you enjoy.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I am going to turn this into a same game parlay then and grab Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown score. That is -120. That turns it into a +190 parlay. Of course, I'm betting the max. Because I think once you're in a hole, The Simpsons taught me to keep digging. And this is my attempt to dig up.
It is a fairly low risk parlay at +190.
Yeah, I really need the Eagles to ball out, though, man.
Arif, you can do this for 2 more weeks, this week and next week. Then you'll be out of money and you will serve a punishment.
Beautiful. Just being out of money. Yeah.
Yeah, and we need to get on the ball on that because I think last year we're very poor at follow through and coming up with the loser punishments, the winner rewards. We got to have that locked and loaded. So when it happens to Arif, he knows what he faces. And I think it is going to happen. at this
Well,
rate.
anybody
taking
got anything they want to
suggestions.
throw out right now?
Hey,
Yeah,
that's
we're
fine.
taking
Tweet
suggestions.
at us.
for sure.
Tweet at us.
Look,
What
hey,
your-
look, I'm not panicking. I'm 0-2. I just signed Dalton Risner. I'm good.
Specific to Arif, I've always wanted to get Arif on a golf course and just force him to golf.
That would be great.
Oh, that's
Videotape
fantastic.
one
We
hole.
could construct a loser punishment that like is one for the
It's,
three
like,
of you
tailored.
and then one for me.
Hey,
You
we
gotta
can make
play.
it
You gotta
specific
play
to
a
the
full
loser.
9.
Yeah.
Well,
A
9
full-
holes.
Jesus. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to like book a whole day.
It's like 2.5 hours. You're fine.
You're gonna love it. You're
For
gonna
most
fall in love
people,
with
it's
it. And
2.5
you're gonna figure out you'd probably be good at it too.
Yeah, he
I-
will be just oddly, weirdly, really good at one specific part of golf.
I think
part of
putting.
the game, the short
Putting
game,
for sure.
the
Short
putting,
game,
the
yeah.
chipping, something. He's just going to be a
I
master. at. Just
don't-
a beautiful mind, Rain Man.
I definitely
somehow.
don't have the height to just Happy Gilmore it. I know that. So that's important.
Are you a righty or a lefty?
Probably a righty. What kind of why are you asking me? How would I know?
Have you ever swung a bat or a racket or anything before?
Yeah, I'm a righty in those other very different
Bowl. You
sports,
ever
yes.
bowl?
Yes, a righty. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Are you a lefty in any facet of your life?
Well, famously,
Oh, that's good.
Very good.
That was good.
Wide left
Well
step stack. Wide left.
Bam.
step
See you
Right.
Monday.
Okay. Yeah.
drop. Fun stuff, fellas. Vikings Chargers Sunday. We'll have the postcast with Luke Braun and Ron Johnson after that game. Luke Inman should be joining us this week as well on that program. Big thanks to Arif. Big thanks to Luke Braun today. Roundtable tomorrow with Ron Johnson and the Carol Evan crew, as well as yours truly. Subscribe, please, on YouTube, Locked On Sports Minnesota. Find us free and available wherever you get your podcast. Thanks to our everydayers. Thanks to our partners, Jase Medical and FanDuel today. We'll talk to you Monday on the Minnesota Football Party. See ya.